This is the Builders Business Success Podcast for builders who want to attract more quality clients who aren't price-focused, eliminate cash flow pressure, and get paid for every quote. Here's your host, Mick Hawes.
Hey folks, and welcome to Builders Business Success Forum. No, it's not. What are we doing here? No, it's a Success Podcast. The reason that I don't know what I'm talking about is because I can't hear myself. But if I do that, I can now hear myself. Now, we can get started. That's a pretty great start to what is our 50th episode of doing this like this. I think it's probably our 1 millionth episode of doing something, but it's our 50th episode of doing this in this format, Builders Business Success Podcast in this format. And so going to be giving you some giveaway stuff. There's a fantastic book that a friend of the show, his name is Brandon T. Adams, and he's got this awesome book. It's called The Road to Success. It's got some amazing stuff in it to help you be successful in any endeavour you wish. So we're going to be giving away a couple of those books during the show or after the show. What we're going to be covering in the 50th episode is the power of procedures. As you may be aware, or you may not be aware, that we're writing a book and we're actually using the podcast to create the content for the book. And fundamentally, we're just unpacking everything that we do in Builders Business Black Belt. We're not holding anything back that you need to pay to access or anything like that. This is our best stuff. We're completely open, completely transparent, and sharing with you what we do in Builders Business Black Belt. And so we started doing that quite some episodes ago. And what we're up to today is the power of procedures. And what I'm going to be sharing with you is the value that procedures can bring your business. So we're going to talk about the when, the who, the how, and most importantly, believe it or not, the how not to do procedures, because a bunch of people go, yeah, procedures, man, they're really cool. Let's go do procedures. And they waste their time and they create problems. So just because you've got procedures doesn't mean you're improving your business. So we're going to unpack all of the detail about that. Q&A in this episode is going to be about how to spot time wasters. Would that be valuable? I see you nodding. Yes, it would be valuable. How to spot time wasters in your business, but then how not to lose an opportunity as well, because some of the conversations I have and some of the descriptions I've been given about how some builders qualify their clients or prospects at that stage, they can lose an opportunity. If you're watching live also, we've got to say this. If you're watching live, please put hashtag live. There's a couple of people have said hey already. Big Matt without the hat, or with the hat, I can't see him, but he'll either have his hat on or he won't have his hat on. He's watching us live. And Big Ben up in Queensland is also watching as well. G'day, guys. If you're watching the replay, I know that sounds stupid now that you're watching the live, but if you are watching the replay, this will make sense. Put hashtag replay in the comments. So let's fly into this, folks. The topic is procedures and the power of procedures. And the first question you need to ask yourself about procedures is, why have them? There's an absolute metric shit ton of reasons as to why you should have procedures and why you should build your business around procedures. The first reason is, and this isn't getting any better, by the way, currently, statistically, 90% of all small businesses will fail in the first 3 years. When I first started doing this a number of decades ago, the statistic was different. It was 80% which I thought was disastrous. 80% of all small businesses that started would fail within the first 5 years. It's gotten worse. 80% or 90% of all small businesses that start fail in the first 3 years. But there's another really interesting statistic, and that is around 75% of, and I'm not going to say franchises, I'm going to say franchise-style businesses succeed. So what would you rather be in? Which camp would you rather be in? Having 90% chance that you'll fail in 3 years, or having 75% chance that you'll succeed? So I'm leading with that because I want to give you the most powerful reason I've got as to why you need to start to build procedures using the suggestions I'll give you through this podcast in your business, because it gives you a much, much better chance of succeeding. The big majority of the businesses that make it through past that 3-year mark don't necessarily, what I would call, succeed in any case. They don't necessarily succeed, they just exist. And the big majority of small business owners have just basically bought themselves a job, a low-paying, high-stress job. And that's not the idea of having your own business. So what's some more reasons as to why you should have procedures in your business? One is consistency, and that is so important in a business. If you've ever read the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, he talks about how important consistency is, and he gives this whole story about where he went to get his hair done, went to get a haircut, and when he walked in there, they said, please sit down here and read this magazine, and we'll get you a glass of wine while you're waiting. And he just raved about the experience. The next time because he went back because he had such a great experience. The next time it wasn't quite the same, and they sort of bought him a cup of coffee instead of the glass of wine or what have you. And he thought that might have been, just a misfire. So he went back a third time, and none of it happened. And so he stopped going back there. And that happens with a lot of businesses. We have a rush of blood and we do things a certain way, and then it's inconsistent. We stop doing it. Procedures create consistency. So it's so important to have your business based in procedures. Without procedures, you don't have a benchmark for improvement. If you've got 5 or 6 different people doing the same job 5 or 6 different ways, and that job is perhaps producing results, or perhaps it's not, or perhaps sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. If everyone's doing things a different way, we haven't got any data to be able to look at to improve how we're doing things. So you've got to use procedures so you've got a benchmark to improve from, that, if that makes sense. And here's what I think. I think that a lousy procedure is better than no procedure, because at least you get some consistent data, some consistent feedback, some consistent results, which you can measure any changes to the procedures against. If you haven't got that consistency, you can't measure the value of any changes. So you're just sort of blindly throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks, and that's you're kind of going back to a hope strategy. I hope this works. This procedural approach is much more measurable and reliable. Another reason, because you need lots of reasons to do something, it seems. So I'm going to give you a whole bunch of reasons. If you've got procedures, other people can step in. If somebody leaves, if somebody is away on holidays, if you have written procedures that are created in the way that I'll talk about in the rest of this session, you can have somebody step in and get a pretty reasonable result from the following that procedure. So how the procedure is created is kind of important as well, because you really can't create a procedure where it relies on people's experience too much. You've got to be able to have the steps and the resources available for someone to be able to step in. Being able to do that, if somebody leaves, somebody can come in and hit the ground running, and you don't need to have this massive transfer of information from somebody's brain to the other person's brain, particularly if somebody's left, in a hurry for whatever reason. You don't get that changeover opportunity. Somebody's gone, and then you've got to bring somebody in to take over where they left off. If procedures exist, that happens with a lot less friction. It works really, really well. I'll give you one more reason as to why you need procedures. If you think that in the future you are ever going to sell your business, having procedures will give you a far more saleable business, and somebody buying your business can see how professionally they can see the steps, the organisation that's been created in this business. And just like somebody leaving and somebody coming in and running the business, or running that job or position, if somebody's sick or away, if a new owner comes in, they have a massive amount of confidence that they can come in and follow the bouncing ball. They'll also obviously think they'll be able to improve it, but rather than having to learn from scratch, they'll be able to make an assessment of the value of your business. And generally, when it's procedure based, the value of your business in their mind will go up significantly. So that means that if you're going to sell the business, you will make it, number one, easier to sell, but number two, you will get a much bigger price, a higher price for the business when you sell it if it's procedure based. So that's the why, folks. I hope I've given you enough reasons for you to start to want to put the time in to create procedures for your business. And when I say you create the procedures for your business, you might create the procedures for what you do, but it's actually not the right thing for you to do to create procedures for other people to follow. We'll unpack that in a minute. So what do you need to do? What you need to do is identify the where and the what. And what that means is, don't create procedures for the sake of creating procedures. And I think this is absolute gold. It's taken a long time to learn this. Please take notice of it. And that is, allow the opportunity for a procedure to present itself. There's no need to create a procedure to tell people how to buy the milk. Right? They know how to do that sort of stuff. And I'll tell you a bit of a story in a moment why that is actually counterproductive. But the best thing to do is allow an opportunity for a procedure to present itself. How we might do that is getting the team involved. So in your weekly team meetings, what I suggest and what we teach our black belt members to do is get the team involved in a conversation about what sucks, what's boring, what's frustrating, what problems have cropped up, why has a customer been made unhappy and is complaining. So all of those things that are ugly about your business are opportunities to create procedures. But the key is to get the people who are going to be performing those procedures involved in the creation of them. Okay? So important to get them involved. And I'll tell you why in a little while. But allow procedures to reveal themselves, or at least the opportunity for a procedure to reveal itself. And what do you need to do to create a procedure? Well, the first procedure you need to have in your business, and I know this is going to sound weird, but go with it. You need a procedure for capturing procedures. That's the thing that is missing in most businesses, is a procedure, a process for capturing procedures. So I'm going to give it to you. It's really simple. Get your pen out. Here we go. The first thing you do with a procedure is give it a name. It's got to have a name. The name needs to make a bit of sense too, because you need to have a way, a platform to capture your procedures. You can use Google Docs and all of those sorts of things. There's online software you can get for capturing procedures, but keep it simple. Keep it easily accessible. And that's why the name is important, to be able to do a search and be able to find that procedure very, very effortlessly. So the first thing you need to do is give it a name. The second and most important part of a procedure to capture procedures is the purpose of the procedure. You've got to be able to identify the purpose of the procedure, and the purpose needs to be relevant. It needs to have meaning. The purpose needs to have purpose, folks. The good thing about that is if you can't figure out the purpose, and if this purpose isn't powerful enough, well, you've just bought yourself some time, because you don't need to create a procedure. If there's really no meaningful purpose for creating a procedure, don't bother. But the other thing is, if you do have a purpose, people are far, far more liable to comply with a procedure, follow the procedure, if they understand why. If you can tell them why, they'll more than likely follow it. And so a purpose is really super important. The third step in creating procedures is capture the steps. Okay? So right, step 1, do this, step 2, do that. You write down the steps. And then the fourth part of capturing a procedure is gathering all of the necessary resources. And some procedures don't need resources, but let's just say, and this is a really daggy, lame example, but it should get the point across. Let's say that there is a procedure for ordering stationery, and here's how you do it. Here's the form that you fill out to find out what we need. And here is the person you need to speak to, and here is the phone number that you need to ring to order the thing, and here's where you get the order number or whatever. So, but the resources to be able to perform a procedure, they need to be easily accessible. You need to have them at the person's fingertips, because if you don't have them at the person's fingertips, they'll tend to procrastinate. Yep, I'll just do something else. I'll do that later, and then that thing doesn't get done. So they're the 4 steps to creating a procedure: the name, ease of access, purpose, make sure it's needed, necessary, then the steps, and then the resources. So how you need to do this and make sure that these procedures are followed, because I can't tell you how many times I've run into businesses, not necessarily building businesses, but back in the day when we used to work with all sorts of businesses that had procedures that just weren't followed. And one springs to mind, because I was doing a session with these guys and 2 owners of the business, and one almost had a conniption when I suggested, well, you need to create procedures around this. The cause of this problem, or this problem can be eliminated if we create procedures, and he almost passed out. He got really angry about that whole suggestion. As it turns out, I found out that about 18 months ago, they'd paid a consultant to come in and write all of their procedures and capture all of them, and they paid about 50 grand to have it all done and put in a beautiful leather-bound folder on the shelf. No one even knew it existed, let alone using it. So the suggestion of using procedures didn't sit well with this person. So what can we learn from that? Number 1, we don't write procedures for other people. And most particularly, we don't get some outsider to come into the business to write procedures for people. Okay? The other thing that was missing, and I'm going to expand on that, writing procedures for other people in a sec, but the other thing that was missing is a system. And systems are different to procedures. I know people use them and use those 2 different words, and they think they mean the same thing, but they don't. A procedure are the steps. Here's how you do this: step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. A system causes that procedure to be followed. And you can't always implement a system to ensure that your procedures get followed. But where you can and it makes sense, please do. An example of this, and again, I'm probably going to be known for lame examples. It'll be written on my headstone that, he knew what he was talking about, but he used really lame examples. That's going to be on the headstone. So here's my attempt at an example of a system that's really lame. Let's say you're at a shop, and the boss keeps saying, we've got to capture people's postcodes for marketing purposes. And the people go, yep, and they keep forgetting. And the boss is jumping up and down every week at the team meeting saying, you're not capturing the information, you need to capture it. In the end, he gets the shits and he creates a system, and he puts an automatic electronic lock on the front door of the shop. And the only way that the lock can be released is on the computer system. The person behind the counter has to put a postcode in the customer's contact record, presses the enter button, and then the lock opens the front door. It would probably be illegal, which is why it's a lame example. You can't lock people in your shop, but that's the idea of a system. A system is something that causes people to have to use the procedure. And there are certain times when that's appropriate. Many times it's not. So what do we do in that case? Well, we recruit the team to build, refine, and give feedback on the procedures. If you get the team involved in discussions about what sucks, what gives them the shits, what's boring, what's frustrating, what causes anger and angst, and get them involved in a discussion of how can we get around that? What can we do to get over that? When people start to contribute to the process, the procedure, to be able to eliminate something that is painful for them, they are far more likely to use that process. They're far more likely to comply. They're far more likely to encourage enthusiastically other team members to use that process as well. If other team members aren't following the bouncing ball, the team members that were involved in the creating of it will tend to encourage other team members to use it. I did say that I was going to talk about the how not to, and I've kind of alluded to it. Don't build procedures for other people and then do a decree from the balcony, and say this is how we're going to do it from now on, because people don't like being told what to do. And I found this out firsthand years and years ago, working with an accountancy firm, and we had this whole conversation with the owner about things need to be procedurized, because we were talking about the difference between a franchise style business and the standard garden variety small business. And the difference between the two is a franchise style business is based on procedures. And I gave you the statistics at the start of the show. 75% of franchise style businesses succeed, 90% of small businesses fail in the first 3 years. Which group do you want to be in? So we wanted to create procedures, and I created or called a meeting with everybody there and started talking about how wonderful it's going to be, and we're going to do these procedures and talking about procedures. There's procedures for this and procedures for that, and everything's going to be procedurized. And there was one lady, I could see that she was getting really upset about this. Anyway, at the end of the meeting, I went over to her, and she was with a bunch of other girls who worked there as well. And I just said, what's going on? Why are you upset? And she just burst into tears. But they were tears of anger, I found out. That she just said, I've been working here X amount of years and I don't need to be told how to do my job, blah, 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 blah. Absolutely tore strips off me. And at that point, I realised there is a place for procedures, and there is a place where you don't create procedures, or at least you don't create them in that way. What we were able to do after everything was calmed down, and I said, well, that wasn't the purpose, and sort of we understood each other, we were able to create a regular get-together where we put the things that frustrated them, that they didn't like, that were boring, and things that just didn't work as well as they liked, and they had input in creating new ways of doing things. It worked really, really well. So don't create procedures for the sake of it. Don't create procedures for other people. Get the team involved. Get the people involved, and get them involved not only in the creation, but the constant refinement of your procedures and constant feedback as to how they're working and what we could do now. So I hope that makes sense. It can make a big difference to your business. So start creating procedures, or get the team involved in creating procedures for your business. And if you want help with that, what you need to do is jump underneath this replay. If you're watching the replay, there's a button. We'll put a link in this live in the Builders Business Success Forum. We'll put a link in the comment section when we're done. You can click that and you can jump in and organise a chat with us, organise a conversation so we can point you in the right direction. We can show you some really simple ways to start to implement procedures into your business that will make a big difference. Now, here's the thing, because it's the 50th episode, if you book a call, we're going to give you one of these books. We'll pay the postage and everything. This is an awesome book. It's The Road to Success by Brandon T. Adams. Has his own TV show. He is an absolute legend. He's got some really cool philosophies on how to be successful in pretty much any area of life. Want to give you the book. All you need to do to get a copy is book a call. You can do that by just scheduling a call by going to Builders Business Success. No, let me start again. I don't know what I'm talking about. buildersbusinessblackbelt.com.au, and there'll be schedule a call button there. In the Facebook group, Builders Business Success Forum, there'll be links underneath the video. Or if you're watching it on our blog, you can hit the button that will be directly underneath the video. It makes it very, very easy. Love to talk to you in person. Get yourself a copy of that book. Okay, let's go to Q&A. Before we do that, I've got a note for myself to remind you. Hit hashtag live if you're watching live. Hit hashtag replay if you're watching the replay. The Q&A that we're going to cover is how to spot a time waster. We get asked this quite a bit. And it's not only how to spot a time waster, but make sure you don't lose an opportunity at the same time. Ready for the answer? Answer is don't try. Don't even try to spot time wasters, because that is when you lose opportunities. You start to make assumptions about people. So I suggest you don't try. What I do suggest is you implement a qualification process. We've talked about it a lot. You can scroll back and watch previous episodes where I've showed you exactly how to create a qualification process. And it's a series of behavioural hurdles that are what we call your anti-avatar. So you need to do a little bit of work to make this work, and that is create the anti-avatar. That is the person that you don't want anywhere near your business. By getting intimate with them and understanding what makes them tick, you can put these little behavioural hurdles in your process that you know that your anti-avatar won't jump over. So you never have to say no. You never have to make the decision. And so you create a hurdle, and you give them the reasons why it's good for them, the benefits for them if they jump over the hurdle. That's called education. So you give them all the reasons to jump over the hurdle. If they don't jump over the hurdle, you don't have to say no. You don't go to the next step. They don't waste your time. But you don't have to identify them. You just have a pathway where the people that you know are your right people, they'll jump over the hurdles and end up becoming a great quality client. And the people you don't want anywhere near your business that are wasting your time, they just want a price check, they want a price shop, they want a free quote, they want all to use and abuse you, they won't make it very far into your process, so they don't end up wasting your time. But you don't make that decision up front. You don't make that call. You just take them to the next step, offer them to go to the next step, and through their actions, they will move forward. So you should never say no. You basically create two pathways. You create a pathway for a reasonable person, which is your pathway with the jumping over the hurdles, or you create a pathway for the unreasonable person, which is you can refer them to go see somebody else. And they will make that choice. You don't have to make it. So that's something that we do all day, every day with our Builders Business Black Belt. So again, good reason to book a call, win a book, win one of these awesome books by Brandon Adams. We'll send it out to you. Just book that call. Link in the comments, button under the video, go to the website, find a place to call us. We'd love to talk to you and point you in the right direction. We do it every day, and it's just great working with guys who get so excited about how quickly change can happen in a building business. And we get to do this every day, and we want to do it with you. So all you need to do is raise your hand. Okay, quickly, personal productivity hack time. I didn't realise we were running out of time for this episode. Just looked at the clock on the wall and it's just about out of juice. So the personal productivity hack is a thing called the PSR. That's what we call it in Black Belt anyway, short for Personal Success Ritual. I'm going to unpack this at some stage in one of the future episodes, but I just want to give you an overview so you can maybe create your own. But our PSR has 4 parts, and it is the very first thing you do when you get up in the morning is you look at or listen to or read something that is somewhat inspirational. We point our Black Belt members to a particular video on the interwebs, but after a while they find their own. There's an absolute heap of them on the internet, so grab something that's inspirational. Step 1. Step 2 is when you're in that little bit of an inspired state, you start to write things down. It's called a 60-second success system. And you get a pen and paper and you write like crazy for 60 seconds, all things that would be wicked to have, become, accomplish, experience, if there were no limits to time, talent, or money. So fundamentally, you've got to write stuff down that's impossible. What that does is it puts your brain into this space where anything is possible. And it's a stretching exercise for the next step. So the third step in the PSR is about a 3-minute goal setting session, where you're either writing goals, unpacking goals you've written before, or just spending time with your goals and getting in touch with them, getting intimate with the goals and the steps and the actions that you need to take to get there. You should be in a bit of an inspired state by this stage, because the 4th step is creating your prioritized daily action list. And that is the list that you work off with your priorities for the day, the list of actions. And this is a game changer. In our intro to this show, you'll see a guy, his name's Andrew Piercy, sitting down there with the glasses. And he's the poster boy right now for people who have, gone from working 14 hours a day. He sent me a post the other day. He said he's now, and he's only been with us not even a year. And he's old school, working 12, 14 hours a day. His work was his life. He was a workaholic. And he sent me a message the other day saying he's now attempting to get everything done in 2 days. So everything that he used to do in 14 hours a day, 5 and 6 days, sometimes 7 days a week, he's now attempting, and I have all the confidence in him, to get it done in 2 days a week. And he's super excited about that. What he used was this PSR, but most importantly, that prioritized daily action list, and writing down the really high leverage stuff, giving them the priority, and then working off that list every day. It's super powerful. If you want us to show you how to do it, all you need to do, you know the drill, folks. I'm getting sick of hearing myself saying it, but I'm going to keep saying it until you do it, is book a call, and we can point you in the right direction where you can get the resources to learn this, implement it into your business real fast, get some really quick results that will really just fire you up. You'll be really super happy and excited about what you can do in your business once you start to get a handle on this whole time management stuff and effectiveness, and take control over your business. So as I said, by organising a call, we'll send you one of these books. Every single person who mentions the 50th episode, when they book their call, we'll send them out one of these books. So what's the takeaway from today? I think build a business, don't do business is my takeaway. Always have that thought. People just go every day and they do business. They do business, they transact, and they get clients and talk to suppliers and subbies, and they're doing business. Build a business is the takeaway. And I think that if you've ever read Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad is one of his books, probably the most famous books. He talks about what a business is and what a business isn't. And his way of thinking what a business is it's something that you can leave, have zero to do with for 12 months, And when you come back, it's bigger and better than what it was when you left. That's a business. How many of us have a business? Not very many. And so what we need to do is have a focus on building a business rather than having a focus every day on doing a business. The PSR that I just talked about is a profound contributor to that. And it's a personal success ritual. It's not a business success ritual. It's a personal success ritual. So, and what it does is get you into constant improvement. And even the procedures is all about constant improvement. So everything today, I think, is all about building a business rather than doing a business. So that's it for this episode. Gone over time again. Sorry, but I wanted to tell you what I wanted to tell you. So I hope that's okay. If you've been watching live, please hit hashtag live in the comments. If you've been watching it on the replay, put hashtag replay in the comments. And as I said, for the final time, we'd love to help you with any and all of what we've spoken about in this episode. And all you need to do is book a call. There'll be a link in the comment section once we go not live. Once we're finished here, we'll put a comment. We'll put a link in the comment section. If you're watching it on the what's it called? The blog. There'll be a button underneath the video here. If you're listening to the audio only, you can on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever platform you listen to it on. All you need to do is navigate to buildersbusinessblackbelt.com.au, and there'll be schedule a call buttons like that one that I'm pointing to, which you wouldn't be able to see in the audio only one, but you'll see it when you get there. Click that, fill out the information, schedule a call. It's going to be fun times. It's really, really exciting. Love to talk to you. Love to point you in the right direction. So I hope you got a lot of value out of this podcast. We'll be back again live in the Builders Business Success Forum. So if you're not a member, become a member. Love to see you in there. You can get in there and ask questions and hang around with some really smart people in that group. But we'll be back again in that group live with another episode, 51, of Builders Business Success Podcast, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Australia, Sydney time. Next week, look forward to seeing you then. I'm Mick Hawes, Builders Business Black Belt. That's it. Bye for now.
Okay, that's the podcast. If you have a question or want to know how Mick can help with your building business, email your request to mick@buildersbusinessblackbelt.com.au. Do it now.